for weeks or anything. Yeah, it's probably for a few days we'll get aftershocks. Yeah. Well, to have to have them come, like one right after the other like that. Yeah, that's for weeks. That is a bit unusual. I mean, earthquakes like the 7.4 New Island. To have them earthquakes of that size around there are not unusual in like that. Yeah, in and of themselves. They happen every few years, every couple of years. But yes, they happen sort of bang like that. That doesn't happen very often.
That is scientist John Ristow.
Yeah, Kiri Tapualan called it this morning an extraordinary morning, and we have heard some extraordinary stories from many of you. Teacher in Kaitaia, they organised 4 buses, got 250 children out of Kirikiri rather, and are now having music lessons with another school. You've rung us if you've been watching the water change to a different colour in Whangare, I think that was. We've heard from you up on Whakatane, up on the lookout there. If you are listening or if you're watching and you want to send us some footage, do that. Send that into the newsroom.
Just don't take any risks. It's really important you just remain at higher ground until the authorities give you the all clear.
Send us a message to your mother if you want to, and we'll see if we can play it so she knows you're safe.
If we are crowdsourcing for pictures of unusual coastal activity, then perhaps we can crowdsource for activities to entertain the kids for this afternoon, because I know there will be a lot of people around New Zealand who, as soon as they saw those warnings, went to higher ground and have found themselves now
and are now trying to do unspeakable things to Sam Calloway's camera when he's in a live shot.
Earthquake detected 8 kilometers south-southeast off Indios, Puerto Rico, at 11:07 and 45 seconds p.m. The quake's depth was 9 kilometers with a magnitude of 2.82.
That was due to happen may now not be happening. We can't read anything into that. We were told earlier today that this could be a long wait and see situation. They don't want to let anyone converge back into their towns or small Northland towns, which have very low-lying areas and have something happen.
And we know it's stressful. We know it's really stressful. We know it's another stressor after a very stressful period. We know that parts of Aotearoa are still at level 3 and that every other region is at level 2 for COVID-19 alerts at the moment. So there are a lot of people who are probably already in a heightened state of stress.
That was the other advice today was if you are isolating or if you're sick at home and thought, actually, I'm just going to sit this one out, don't do that. Get on the road to high ground or move inland. The advice is to ignore the COVID restrictions for the day and get yourself to safety. But we are still expecting, we've had no change on that so far. We are expecting that at 4 o'clock after Cabinet today, we will also hear about the alert levels.
Yeah, so Cabinet will be meeting to discuss the situation regarding the outbreak in Tamaki Makaurau over the last week. They're going to make an assessment as to whether or not New Zealand and Auckland can shift alert levels. So we're expecting an update on that at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Of course, we will bring you that update live as soon as we have that information.
Yes, in fact, usually we would be getting the COVID numbers at about now, so I will look that up shortly and see if anything has been released. I'm not sure if we are having a press conference at 1. I don't think so today.
No, we've been told for the time being 4 o'clock will be the update we get from the Prime Minister and the Director General of Health when it comes to the move in COVID alert levels. However, if we have any updates as to the number of cases in New Zealand and indeed in the community, of course we will bring you those as soon as we can. But at the moment, authorities in Wellington are just trying to assess all of the different data points that they're receiving. Earlier today, after those 3 significant earthquakes, the 3 initial significant earthquakes near the Kermadec Islands, there were warnings that indicated potential times for surges or waves to be hitting different parts of New Zealand. Most
Earthquake
of those
detected
times
Kermadec
have now
Islands,
passed. From
New
what
Zealand,
we've seen in the
at
information we've received
11:37
in our
and 9
newsroom,
seconds
we
p.m.
haven't received
The
reports
quake's
of
depth was
large-scale
10 kilometers
damage
with a
anywhere or
magnitude
anything
of
like that.
5.6.
However, the authorities say it is too early to lift those warnings at this stage. They're waiting until they have more information. They're probably waiting to see the latest impact of the 6.2 magnitude earthquake that occurred just after midday today before they tell anyone who is currently at higher ground under a tsunami warning to move back home.
So if you are just joining joining us for this One News special. We're live across the country as we still remain on tsunami alert. An earthquake struck at 2:27 a.m, 105 kilometres east of Te Araroa. Evacuation orders are still in place for several areas. People in the following areas should evacuate immediately and move inland or to higher ground. On the west coast of the North Island, from Cape Reinga to Ahipara. Over on the east, people in Cape Reinga and through to Whangare should also leave now. People from Matata to Tolaga Bay need to evacuate as well, and that includes Whakatane and Opotiki. Great Barrier Island.
Earthquake magnitude 3.7 off east coast of the North Island, New Zealand. 3 minutes ago.
Much of New Zealand is under a marine alert as well. Stay away from the sea. Head to onenews.co.nz or civildefence.gov.nz for more on your area.
Kate Malcolm owns Dive Tutukaka, located on the east coast of Northland, about 45 minutes north of Whangarei. We've been talking to her throughout the morning as she evacuated and made it to higher ground. And we're checking back in with her again now. Kia ora, Kate. Thanks for being with us again.
Earthquake detected 56 kilometres west northwest off Beatty,
the region had been affected
at 11:04 and 37 seconds p.m. The quake's depth was minus 0.31 kilometres with a magnitude of 2.3.
Oh, I think we have a problem connecting with Kate. We will see if we can get that line back up with Kate and see if she can give us the latest information. But we saw a storm surge or some sort of surge coming into Tutukaka and to the marina there.
Kate was talking earlier about how they're well used to this kind of thing. They do drills on it. They are surrounded by low-lying areas as well as quite high points, so they move inland and they're fully briefed. They had all their boats and she knew that some of them were staying out. We have now been told if your vessel is in deep water, you should be fine. We're also hearing that Napier Port staff are among those to be evacuated in Hawke's Bay. People living in the red evacuation zone in the region have been advised to head to higher ground. Residents in low-lying areas are being told to stay away from beaches and waterfronts and do stay out of the water. Here's what Napier Port Chief Executive Todd Lawson had to say.
It's been a bit of an interesting morning.
Earthquake detected Kermadec Islands region at 11:34 and 50 seconds p.m. The quake's depth was 10 kilometres with a magnitude of 5.4.
8.3 I think it was up in the Kermadec, so we're responding now based on the Civil Defence advisory message that we all got to evacuate the port. We're in the red zone here in Napier. Everything everyone went to work this morning. Obviously a lot of talk and chatter about what happened last night. We actually stopped operations last night as well in the middle of the night for a period of time, to make sure everything was safe. And then, the notice came through. Our warning system that we installed at the port a little while ago, we activated that, which is a siren to allow everybody to know what's going on, and then evacuated the port up the hill here at Bluff Hill. It's a big operation. It's a lot of people to advise and let them know what's going on. Luckily, we'd actually run a drill like this several months ago, not long after we'd installed the tsunami evacuation system on the port. So today's gone incredibly smoothly. People knew what to do. They calmly exited the port, and as you can see around me, people are sort of comfortably mingling and relaxing in the sun, waiting for the all clear to actually be able to go back down into the port itself. So it's worked really, really well. We're really pleased with how it's working.
That is Todd Lawson, who is the CEO of the Napier Ports. We're going to go back now to Kate Malcolm, who owns Dive Tutukaka, just north of Whangarei. Kia ora, Kate. We saw some pictures that suggested Tutukaka had been affected by some sort of coastal surge over the last hour or so. Are you able to tell us anything about that?
Yes, it's not something that we didn't expect. It's something that we've seen a number of times before with different tsunamis that we've had, the Japanese, the Chilean and a Samoan tsunami. And there's something about the harbour entrance and the marina entrance that just bottlenecks the surge as it comes in. It's quite a wide, narrow entrance and then a wide harbour, and then it bottlenecks again at the marina entrance. So we knew that there was going to be some surge there. So it's kind of comforting that it's doing exactly as it should do. It's coming in we've been timing the swells coming in. The surge is about 4 to 6 minutes. It comes in and it sucks back out again. The footage that you probably saw was the initial surge coming through. Now it's just settled into a mucky little yucky undertow that's going to be consistent and probably here for the next 12 to 24 hours. Really good reason to not head to the coast. That undertow and that nasty little surge underneath can trip you up.
Yeah, the water looks quite muddy around the marina area in Tutukaka there. So you say that the initial surge came in and then it died off a bit and then it surged again. Is that how it works from your experience?
Yes, it is. It settles into a bit of a pattern. It comes in and then it goes back out again. And then you'll see that it kind of mixes a little bit, the swirly eddies, either at the far in the entrance empty halfway out to Phillip Island, the bottom gets stirred up quite a lot, and also inside the marina. So it kind of refracts back against itself. And the swirly current that you see on the top is quite different to the undertow that's going to be lurking underneath as well. So it is quite consistent. It will come in and it will come out in a pretty regular manner.
Yeah, it's like a set of lungs, isn't it? In and out, in and out.
The ocean is breathing.
Yeah. From what we've seen from the pictures of that surge in Tutukaka, it looks at this stage like there hasn't been any damage to the vessels that are moored there at the moment. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes, it is. The risk really is sustained current and that strength of current against some of the mooring poles there, the piles. But they have just done a revamp in the marina. So with any luck, they'll have done a good job and they'll hold their course. The other risk really is around frayed ropes that are continually against a little bit of a strain that they're not normally under. But the marina management have got all of that under control.
Fantastic. Hey, thank you so much once again for giving us your time. Kia hau maru, stay safe. We'll catch you soon. That is Kate Malcolm from Dive Tutukaka.
Oh, this is a little bit unusual. Our reporter Kristen Hall is currently on the Inter-Islander ferry in the Cook Strait. She's heading to Picton. She's with us now on the phone. Kristen, how are things going there?
Kia ora, Melissa. I'm just on the Blue Bridge ferry, just a small correction, but we both have been stuck out here just outside of Picton for a little while now. Us on the Blue Bridge ferry, we've been circling the small island about 9 k's out of Picton for about an hour and a half now. We did get a notification a little while ago that the harbour master had closed the port, but just about 2 minutes ago we've heard that it has opened again, and a bit of a cheer went out around the ship as some people were pretty nervous about having to spend all day on the ferry.
Gosh, I bet. What are sea conditions like?
It's actually been really calm. We haven't seen any surges whatsoever, which I think is what helps keep people pretty chilled out. People were mostly just worried about missing deadlines for the truckies, for example, and having a bit of a delay to their holiday. But it's a gorgeous day out here, and we've just had a lovely view going round and around this island.
And what did you get told on board? When did you leave Wellington?
We left Wellington at 8 o'clock this morning, so yeah, it has been a bit of a long ride for us. And yeah, we did get an update kind of late morning saying that obviously this tsunami was going to affect us and that they were going to just keep updating us. So we did get quite a few regular updates, which was good. The Marlborough Civil Defence had put out a warning. I think that they were expecting surges of about 1 metre, so I think it was just a precautionary thing.
And how many of you are on the ferry?
Oh, I'm not sure. There's definitely a few hundred, mix of kind of holiday makers and truckies and things like that. Definitely there was a bit of a queue that started forming when we heard that they weren't sure when we were going to be able to dock, but everyone is looking pretty relaxed now and ready to get into Picton.
It must be a little bit of a surreal situation to find yourself in, Kristen.
Yeah, it is a little bit. I was just on my day off, looking forward to a nice trip to Picton, and had a little bit of a delay, but it sounds like things are a lot worse up north and a lot more nerve-wracking for people up there, so just happy to be able to get in there and that we haven't been too affected down here. Obviously, the crossing can usually be pretty treacherous with the waves and the winds, but it hasn't been the case this time.
And how are staff treating you? Are you getting a free lemonade or anything?
There has been free tea and coffee, yes, for the people that have been waiting for a while. Staff have been lovely, everyone's seeming nice and relaxed. So, yeah, we are all good here on the ferry.
Tēnā pai, Kristen Hall, circling an island outside of Picton's.
And enjoying her day off. Auckland's ferry services have been suspended, just so you know, until at least 2 o'clock this afternoon. That is because, of course, a warning is in place for the coastal regions around Auckland. You don't have to evacuate if you're in the Auckland region, but you are advised to stay away from the water. Britomart train station has also been closed due to the possibility of flooding. Until 3 p.m, trains on the Eastern Line will run as far as Panmure, with services to the west, south and Onehunga ending at Newmarket. Emily Lane is a tsunami scientist with NIWA and joins us now from Ōtautahi, Christchurch. Kia ora, Emily. Well, what an extraordinary day it has been. Thank you so much for being with us to share your expertise. Can you just begin
Earthquake magnitude 3.7 off east coast of the North Island, New Zealand, 6 minutes ago.
Kia ora. I think what we're going to see is a continuation of what we've seen so far. It's unlikely to get any bigger than what we've seen so far. There's a very small chance of that, but it's unlikely. So it's probably just going to keep on keeping on for a few more hours yet and slowly sort of peter off.
When do you think then that the risk will be lifted?
I'm thinking that the sort of the marine and sea threat is probably going to continue on for at least another sort of 3 or 4 hours. This is. Everyone always asks the tsunami scientists, when is it safe?
Earthquake detected Kermadec Islands, New Zealand, at 11:52 and 53 seconds p.m. The quake's depth was 10 kilometers with a magnitude of 5.2.
And coming in and out, and that's what you see. And I mean, she was talking about sort of 4 to 6 minutes, and in many places there has been that. We've also sort of seen sort of more slower ones that have happened over about a half an hour to 3/4 of an hour, and sometimes you get the two of them, so you'll sort of have it going up and down sort of over that same sort of period. And they will slowly get smaller, but it might be that the waves go down a bit and then they come up a bit again. And so this is why we have to be cautious and we ask people to be patient.
And Emily, from the information you're getting at the moment, what regions have been most affected by surges or waves so far?
It sounds like Great Barrier, sort of north, that sort of that east coast of Northland. I saw a picture from Tokomaru Bay, sort of near Gisborne, of the surge coming in, which again was sort of quite impressive. So I mean, I think it's that sort of east coast of the North Island, which was the place, the places that we were expecting.
Yeah, can you talk us through your expectations after a seismic event of this size and nature, centred at the Kermadec, about 1,000 kilometres from New Zealand? What, under normal circumstances, would you expect to see?
I mean, this is pretty much it. I mean, what happens is that, a large part of the seafloor around the Kermadec got lifted up, sort of, 100 kilometres by 50 kilometres or sort of more. And so that lifts the water up above it. And for a tsunami, the whole Pacific Ocean is like a paddly pool. So, you can imagine, you throw a rock into a paddly pool and you see waves. When you look at simulations of what happens with tsunami waves, it looks like that. And so they radiate away from the Kermadecs, and they get refracted around. So the speed of the wave is dependent on the depth of the water, and it actually causes them to sort of bend around and come back towards New Zealand, because normally they'd sort of, you get the tsunami, the earthquake happens here, and most of them push out like that. But these parts of the wave, some of that energy refracts around and sort of hits New Zealand, and so that's what we're seeing, is these waves that have sort of curved around and come back to the coast.
We're almost exactly an hour now since a 6.2 magnitude earthquake was recorded in a similar place near the Kermadec Islands. Is that likely to cause more coastal surges?
It's unlikely it's unlikely to do anything that we're going to notice, because given that we're already having these waves, and a 6.5 is considerably smaller than an 8. It's sort of a logarithmic scale. So a 6 is actually 100 times smaller than an 8 in terms of the size. And so, yeah, that's just going to be lost in the noise.
And is there a direct relationship between the size of an earthquake and the size of a tsunami or surge?
There's a strong relationship. It's not completely direct, and I mean, this is one of the reasons why we are more cautious. We are more likely to say, these areas, might need to evacuate, and it might turn out that there isn't a big wave, because we know big picture how big it is, but the details of exactly how that seafloor moves can be really important in terms of where you actually get the big waves.
Right.
And so as tsunami scientists, we need to look at, well, what different things might have occurred that caused this, and what might that mean in terms
earthquake
of
magnitude 3.6 off east coast of the North Island, New Zealand, 8 minutes ago.
And we've got to take all of those and say, well, any of these might happen, because we don't have enough information yet to say this is the one that it is.
Emily, I know some of your colleagues around the world refer to data that is recorded by remote tsunami assessors. So you have essentially buoys sitting out in the middle of the ocean that are able to record ocean currents and movements. How do you get your information when it comes to tidal movements around New Zealand?
Yep, so it sounds like what you're referring to is what we call dart buoys. So what they do is they actually measure the pressure at the bottom of the ocean, because the pressure is directly related to the height of the wave. And so the problem is you need information about, as I said, we know a tsunami's coming, we don't know how big it is, and a lot of this is happening in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So we've got these dart buoys there, and we can look at how big the tsunami is when it comes over them. And the interesting thing is, in the deep ocean, a tsunami might be quite small. It only might be 10 or 20 centimetres. But the thing is, it's 10 or 20 centimetres over 100 kilometres. And then as you get towards the shore, you can imagine you've got 10 centimetres over 100 kilometres, but it gets squeezed up. And so suddenly that height goes up. And we call that shoaling.
Right.
So yeah, that's why, but we use those dart buoys. So that is one of the information that we get. Also, tsunami gauges on the coast.
Okay, so can you just talk me through how that works? And excuse my naivety, sorry, Emily. Do you have buoys that are located, because we know the Kermadec Trench is an area where we have experienced seismic activity in the past. Do you have buoys located between the Kermadec Trench and the New Zealand mainland, or are you basically using your models to try and work out exactly how tsunamis or storm surges will affect the mainland, and then comparing that with your data as those surges reach the New Zealand shore?
Earthquake detected Kermadec Islands, New Zealand, at 11:41 and 55 seconds p.m. The quake's depth was 10 kilometers with a magnitude of 5.1.
Tsunami buoys. So we've got a lot more information. We used to rely on some American ones, and then basically they, it's in the middle of the ocean. They broke down, and no one was going to replace them. So we got money through the New Zealand government, and so the NEMA put out buoys out there, and they've only been out there for a year at most.
Earthquake detected 24 kilometers south of Mina, Nevada, at 11:54 and 44 seconds p.m. The quake's depth was 4 kilometers with a magnitude of 1.9.
As we start getting information at those dart buoys, we compare the information, what our model says, or our suite of models, because as I said, we're looking at sort of different scenarios. We compare them with the dart buoys, and we try and sort of look at, well, which of those scenarios fits best with what we're actually seeing really happening. And the same with, we have these coastal tsunami gauges, so North Cape, East Cape, in a range of places. And so as we get information in there, we can compare the models with those. And then sometimes as a next step, we actually tweak those models to try and make them look more, to try and sort of fit what we're seeing is actually happening in reality. So that's why it's an evolving situation, and we might sort of change those threat levels based on what we're seeing from that.
Yeah, it's a complex process, isn't it, Emily? But I thank you so much for being with us. I know you're going to try and stick around this afternoon. I think we would all really appreciate if you're able to, and we can benefit from your expertise. Just to go over a couple of really key points there that Emily made. From the information she and her colleagues have at the moment, they don't expect the storm, the surges or the waves to be any worse than what some parts of coastal New Zealand are already expecting. However, they are likely to continue for some time. So they're unlikely to get any bigger, but they are likely to continue for some time, which means we're going to have to wait until we can lift those official alert levels.
So everything seems like it's tracking quite well at the moment. And the other thing that looks like is tracking pretty well is that there has just been the announcement of COVID cases today. There are no new cases of COVID-19 in the community. We're also just looking at some pictures of the moment of a live chopper shot over Auckland, taking a look at the water there. All still looks pretty still as far as I can tell. I'm no marine expert, but things look pretty nice out there and pretty still. Remember, if you are watching and you are in Auckland, please, the advice is to stay
Earthquake
away from
magnitude 4.1
don't forget,
off east coast of the North Island, New Zealand.
Alert levels that
7 minutes
Auckland
ago.
and the rest of the country. Auckland currently at alert level 3. We should hear about that at 4 o'clock, but anything could happen today. So as I say, these are live pictures just going down.
This is heading north from Albany, I believe. So the helicopter's just taken off from Albany. It's going to be heading north. I don't think you will ever see any part of the Hauraki Gulf or the waters around Auckland as quiet as they are right now. But of course, most boaties clearly taking the advice of the authorities in the Auckland region at the moment, being advised to stay off the water, stay away from the water. There is no need to evacuate from the information we have available at this stage. But at the very least, we have some gorgeous pictures for you as our helicopter brings us these live pictures. We're going to continue to keep you up to date with the very latest on how the tsunami warnings and surges are affecting parts of coastal New Zealand throughout the afternoon.
And that includes going to Sean Hogan, who's up on Hospital Hill in Napier. Kia ora, Sean. How are you going? Have you got some of the lads there?
Yeah, I've got some of the boys from the port down here. I've got Aaron and TK. So those guys have had to be evacuated up here because they're in one of the tsunami red zones, which are around Hawke's Bay. Who, if you are in one of them in Hawke's Bay, it's being advised that you do evacuate and get to higher ground. So the whole port has been shut down for now. And I must correct you, Melissa, and this is my fault, but we are up on Bluff Hill. I had a reader write in to say that I got it wrong with the Hospital Hill, so I'll fully acknowledge that. But we've got Aaron and TK here have very kindly decided to speak to me on air. Aaron was very keen to be on air, weren't you, mate? Weren't you?
Just come to say hello. Next time we were on TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good one, Sean.
So we'll talk about the quake this morning. Yeah, it was happened around 2:30 this morning. You felt it, did you?
2:30 this morning. Yeah, one of the biggest quakes I've felt. So yes, around here. So a bit of a shock to the system at 2:30 in the morning, but rolled out with it, and that was it. Came to work this morning. Everyone was just in the same sort of state of mind, just a bit shocked from it. So, now we're up here. The port's evacuated. So, as you were just saying.
Yeah. So, what did you do during the quake? What did you do? Did you think you needed to evacuate or anything?
Nah, not from where I was. Just it did wake me up, but I didn't go running away anywhere. So, it was a bit of a shock. So wasn't too bad, but enough to wake you up.
Yeah, and TK, you felt it as well where you were. You lovely pronounce the way that you say your town. Could you describe it for me?
Yeah, the metropolis of Waiuhiki. Definitely woke up to the earthquake. And I just went and by the kids to make sure they were all right, and then after that we're pretty safe in Waiuhiki, so I was able to go back to bed.
Awesome, that's lovely, that's nice for
Earthquake
you.
detected 3 kilometres east-southeast off Fala, Hawaii, at 12:19 and 58 seconds a.m. The quake's depth was 36.779987792969 kilometres with a magnitude of 1.95000005.
Changed since the earthquake, so once checking that over, we proceeded with works. But then later in the morning there was an earthquake up in the Kermadec, so things changed and the tsunami warning went out, so the port closed down, and all the staff that are on the port are up here now. So
it's a bit of a trick up here. How'd you guys get up here?
yeah, we all walked. so a bit of a walk for some people, but we're all up here, and so we're all safe. And yeah.
What's the waiting been like, TK? Has it been okay?
Yeah, it's been pretty good actually. The pizza's just turned up, so I'm pretty keen to get stuck into that. But yeah, like Aaron was saying, there was a bit of a walk up the hill, and the port has its own kind of emergency system, so the sirens went off and everyone got told to evacuate. So it's a bit of a walk up the hill. There was a few stops along the way, and then but no, we're pretty safe.
Cool, awesome, guys. Well, as they just said, the pizza has arrived for the staff members, so they're going to get tucking into that. I'm told if I wear high vis, I might be able to sneak a slice myself. So we'll throw back to you guys.
And you probably can have a slice of pizza to celebrate, Sean, because we have just been told while you're interviewing those two that the tsunami alert has been lifted. You can start making your way home if you have gone to high ground or headed inland. Now is the time. You can start to go home, but do also still stay away from coastal areas. We could still see some of that unusual activity, the storm, the surges of sea coming in, so do take care around there. But overall, the
earthquake magnitude 3.8
have been lifted.
off east coast of the North Island, New Zealand, 8 minutes ago.
This is current and it replaces all of the previous warnings that were in place, and it affects the whole country. GNS Science has advised the largest waves have now passed. The threat level has been downgraded to a beach and marine threat for all areas that were previously under land and marine
earthquake
threats.
magnitude 4.6.
Ground, you can now return
Halmahera, Indonesia,
who evacuated
6 minutes
can
ago.
return. However, as Melissa just said, stay away from water and beach areas until we have any more updates from the officials.
So Graham Leonard is with us. He's a GNS senior scientist. Graham, what a morning so far. You must be feeling it. Yeah. What is the latest information?
Right, well, you just mentioned it. Civil Defence Emergency Management have updated their advisory, so we still have a widespread advisory in effect for strong and unusual currents in the water. So
earthquake detected 52 kilometers north-northeast off Whakatane, Alaska, at 12:22 and 4 seconds a.m. The quake's depth was 0 kilometers with a magnitude of 1.9.
Strongly felt shaking.
Earthquake detected 14 kilometers southeast of Onsa, CA, at 11:28 and 9 seconds p.m. The quake's depth was 11.22 kilometers with a magnitude of 0.85.
Tsunami, and that's what's caused the tsunami advisory over the morning up until now.
All right, Graham, this is your area of expertise, developing effective response to warning systems, especially for a tsunami. How did we do today?
Well, we've certainly seen an evolution of systems over the last decade, and I'm really pleased to see our geohazard analysts and the National Geohazard Monitoring Centre monitoring that seismic data and analysing the tsunami rapidly. They saw that data as it was coming in each of those earthquakes, and we're working on the tsunami models to provide to emergency management. And we also have, as a country, have implemented emergency mobile alerts, EMA, in the last couple of years.
Earthquake detected 8 kilometers northeast of Fox, Alaska, at 12:22 and 57 seconds a.m. The quake's depth was 0 kilometers with a magnitude of 1.4.
Set up for tsunami because of that rapid ability to reach large swaths of people in affected areas.
To those people, like we've heard locals up north in Mangawhai going out surfing, what's your advice to people that maybe didn't heed the warnings today?
Tsunami are dangerous. We're not talking about shallow wind waves. These are deep whole of water column waves, and they can be very long, minutes or tens of minutes long, with a surging or a withdrawal of the wave. They're often entraining debris or sediment, so they're very dangerous to be in. This is not like being in an ocean wave, and it's a very dangerous thing to be in, even if it's not notably affecting on land beyond the beach. People need to be watching for currents and staying out of the water and heeding those advisories for sure. The other key point here is, with big events like this, we do often see aftershocks, notable aftershocks. So people need to stay well tuned to civil defence in case of any further alerts, especially tsunami alerts.
I know that you'll be all taking some time now to look at the data and things that came through. Are there any lessons to be learnt so far?
We're always learning from new events. Big events like this don't happen every year or even every decade. In the last decade or two, this is quite a unique situation up in that area. So we will learn a vast amount from this. We're already processing that data, understanding this quake, how it relates to the plate boundary, the major fault that it comes from. This is going to be a really very useful learning event, and our scientists will be gathering information from it for a long time to come.
Graham Leonard, GNS Senior Scientist, thank you very much. And what a relief that this is a learning event.
Yeah, a useful learning event. That's an understatement, if ever we heard one. Just to bring you up to date with the very latest, the evacuation advice for all of New Zealand has been lifted in the last half an hour. GNS scientists say concerns over a tsunami or tidal surge have been lifted. However, if you are in a coastal region, you're advised to stay away from the water until we have further advice. That's it, though, from us and the whole One News team. I think we have all earned a weekend. Until then, kia hau maru, stay safe, and well done to those of you who had to evacuate, doing the right thing this morning, following officials' advice.
There'll be a press conference at 4 p.m. when the Prime Minister is expected to announce any changes to the COVID-19 alert levels. Until then, you can head to onenews.co.nz. From us, ka kite anō. We'll see you soon.
(0:30)
Thank you for watching. Have a nice time. Terminating the stream. Good night.